Hi, welcome to animationscope.com. My name is Ram, and today in this tutorial we will learn how to render out a scene in 3D Studio Max using Vray as a renderer. So let's get started and open our scene. Okay, I have the scene. I have already modeled this scene. Actually, some of the models I have downloaded from internet, and rest of the geometry like walls and these simple objects I have modeled. Alright, so let's quickly get started with the tutorial. Go to render settings and be sure that you have assigned your render as Vray, because we are going to render the scene in Vray. So let me define the rendering engine as Vray. I'm using Vray 1.5. my version is demo 1.5 sp2. Okay, click OK. Now as soon as you define Vray as a renderer, you can see the tabs has been changed to Vray tabs. Okay, now if you go to click on this Vray tab, you have these options. In this you have this Vray frame buffer, and you can see if you enable this frame buffer, actually this is the option by which you can override the functions of max, like get resolution from max. If you switch it off, you can have your own Vray output like 640/480. Okay, so for now I'm just disabling it because I don't want it right now. Okay, and if I go to global switches, we have so many options like override material. If you want a single material on your single scene, then you can switch on this material and this override button. And for now I'm just clicking on this default lights button because I don't want any default light in our scene. I want Vray lights as our lighting object. Okay, so I'm switching it off light by just clicking on it. And let's move down, and we have this image sampler. You can see we have this image sampler, and bracket there is written anti-aliasing. Actually this controls the whole image quality of our scene. See, there are three methods to control this. One is fixed, adaptive DMC, and adaptive subdivision. I choose adaptive DMC because I like it, because it's a very good method. It's a very good method to control the overall image quality according to the situation. For example, if you are having so many glossy objects and motion blurs, then you can use this method. I always choose this method as I like it very much. And we have this anti-aliasing filter. You can see there are so many kinds of filters given. Actually they do to control the anti-aliasing quality of the image, but I'm choosing as Catmull ROM, so because it provides very nice results. You can see the description also, like a 25 pixel filter with pronounced edge enhancement effect. Okay, let's move down, and we have this Vray environment rollout. You can see we have this GI environment skylight override. You can switch it on because we have this environment over here. You can see the out environment from these windows. So I'm switching it on by just simply clicking on it. And reflection and refraction, because we have some objects in our scene which have reflection and refraction, so for that I'm just clicking on it to make them on. And we have this color mapping also. We'll talk about it later on. Just leave it for now, and let's proceed towards indirect illumination. Now indirect illumination, if I render out my scene by just hitting render production button, you can see we have only this thing and this thing, but there is no light in the scene because we have switched off the default lights, and there is no light in the scene. That's why our whole scene is black. So first we need to place some lights in our scene. Okay, let me quickly go to my on the viewport and front viewport. See, yeah, we can see clearly the windows of our scene, and we need to place some lights over here. I'm going to lights, Vray, and Vray light, and I'm placing the light from my front viewport. I'm just dragging it like this way, and I'm placing it according to my windows. Now if I go to my left viewport, I can see actually the light is pointing outwards, and we need to place it pointed inwards. So I'm just rotating it. Be sure to have this angle snap tool on, and I can rotate it like this way. Okay, 180 degrees, and now it's pointing towards inwards. Okay, you can go to top view to place it properly. Move tool, control and just place it on the window like this. What I'm doing, see, I'm placing this light inside my room, and be sure that this light is not going to intersect any part of my geometry, because if there is any overlapping with the geometry, then we will get some blotchy and some noisy effects which we don't want. See, let me increase the length of this light according to our window, like this way. Okay, and you can see the height as well of the light. Okay, it's not bad. You can decrease the width. Okay, just need to place according to the window length and height. Alright, so actually we have two windows in our scene. So what I'm doing, just hold down shift button and move it towards right to just copy the things. I'm choosing instance option, click OK. Okay, so we have placed the light, and let's have a quick render of our scene. Okay, as you can see, there is so much high intense light is there, and some noise. There is so much noise actually. Okay, and you can see the render is overall is very bad, so there is no need to worry. We need to change the settings according to our scene. So I'm going to my render settings box, and one thing you can see that we have light over here on this part, when we don't have any kind of light on this part, because there is no any kind of bounce effect is there, because in real world light actually travels here and it bounces like there, and it will make the whole room. But in our scene there is no bounce light is there, so we need to switch on the indirect illumination. Switch on this GI. In Vray, it's indirect illumination. You can see in bracket there is GI option is also there. So switch on the GI effect, and we have two options for controlling the GI. One is primary bounces and the second one is secondary bounces, and we have these methods to control the GI. So I'm choosing iridance map as my primary bounces, and my secondary bounces I'm taking light cache. Okay, and one more thing, if you see, we have so much intense light is there, so we need to reduce the light intensity as well. Just select any light, and as we have instance of our light, so I just need to change the multiplier of this light, and it will automatically change the intensity of this light because we have instance of these lights. Okay, so let's have a render again of our scene. Okay, one more thing, just go to render settings, and in direct illumination, in Vray iridance map settings, change the current preset to low, because we are just making some test renders, so we don't need to make it very high. So I'm just taking the current preset as low, and these subdivisions actually it also increase the render time and our quality. So for just test rendering, I'm just taking it as 30, and now hit render. And you can see now it's building light cache. Okay, now you can see we have indirect light in our scene, but the only problem is we have so much intense light coming from this window, so we need to reduce the light intensity again. So go to Vray light and reduce the intensity to around 5. Okay, and go to this Vray rollout, and at the end there is one Vray color mapping. I'm just changing this type to exponential. Okay, and hit render again to see the change. Okay, this time you can see the render is much better than the previous render. So if you look carefully in this scene, you still have some problems, like these lights are looking very flat, and there is still some noise, so we need to control it. So we need to change our settings, and in direct illumination tab you can increase this HSPH subdivisions for better quality. What I'm doing, I'm going to the sample lookup of this iridance map settings, and I'm making it overlapping very good fast. Okay, and I'm increasing the subdivisions to around 40 for now. You can go to click on this light cache, because we are using light cache as our secondary bounces. Go in Vray light cache and click on show calculation phase. You can increase these subdivisions also, like to around 1200. Okay, and alright, go to Vray again. And one more thing to this light, actually there are two lights, and if I go to my Vray light settings, we have in this modifier tab of our lights, we have this invisible option, so that we can see the outside environment. Okay, and now hit render to see what, and you can see as we have switched on the show calculation phase, we are seeing what kind of calculation is going on. Alright, okay, now we have much better results. Okay, now you can see there's some problem over here, we have some noise. So what I'm doing, I just need to move my lights slight backwards. Okay, be sure that the lights are not intersecting the geometry. Okay, and one more thing, the light is coming from outside, so we need to place a direct light source also. So for this, what you can do, you can go to your lights, and I'm taking a standard light and I'm using target directional light as a direct light in our scene, so that kind of sunlight is coming from these windows like this, falling on our bed. Okay, go to modifier tab of this directional light, and as you can see, the fall off and the light beam is very thin, so we need to increase it. Go to directional parameters and you can increase the hotspot beam, I guess, increase it according to the room geometry. You can increase the fall off field if you want smooth feathered light edges. Okay, and change it to the shape to rectangle, and we need to switch on the shadows also, and I'm switching on the Vray shadows. Okay, now hit render to see the changes. Okay, now you can see our render is much better than the previous renders. Okay, the only problem we have this environment, and we need to place an environment like trees or any kind of environment, outside environment to our scene, and we can do it in our post-production in Photoshop. So there is no need to worry about this thing. The only thing which I am doing, actually I am thinking that the intensity in our room is not so much, so what I'm doing is taking this Vray light, I'm going to the multiply, I'm increasing the multiplier to around 6, and let's have a region render this time, so that we can see what's happening. We can increase the region, hit render again. Let's hit render again. Okay, so I think it's fine for now. Okay, so I think the render is good enough. So what I'm doing, let's do some final settings for our final image rendering. Go to Vray and let's go to this Vray DMZ image sampler and increase the minimum subdivisions to around 2. Go to indirect illumination and change the current preset to high, and also increase the subdivisions to around 50. Rest of the things are okay. You can increase the sample size to, let's say, 0.006. Alright, and everything is fine. Let's change the render size also to around 1000 by 750, and hit render. Okay, so we have this render, and let me save this image. Tutorial diffuse, and I'm saving it in PNG, or you can save it on Targa format. I'm saving it in PNG format. Save. Okay, now let's jump into Photoshop to do some post-processing. Okay, now you can see this window area is transparent because on our 3D Studio Max we had environment on this much area. Okay, so we can easily place an image as our environment. So if I go to my drives, and I have these outdoor images which you can use in our scene. So I'm taking this image as our environment, move tool, and I'm moving it down like this. Okay, now you can see we have our environment. The only problem is it's very green and our room is very yellow, and in real world we have some kind of bounce from the environment also. So what we can do, I can color correct this image, the rendered image, so something blue, something green. By going to color balance, I can increase a little bit amount of green color. Now scene like this. Okay, and our room is very intense. If I see outside area, see here there's so much intensity of light. So what we can do, I can increase the intensity of the environment also by just going to labels and increase the midtones like this. Okay, and we have some problem on this area as I'm seeing it right now. See, we have some problems here because the light is falling here like this, and this area should be much intense according to this light. So what we can do, we select this layer, go to polygon lasso tool, and I'm making a selection of this area like this. Go down, go up. Okay, and what you can do, right click, layer via copy, and we have this area in separate layer. So what we can do is go to image adjustments. We can increase the exposure, or we can do it by levels also. I'm taking an exposure, and you can increase the exposure. Okay, and let's see what happens. Yeah, now it's looking much better. Okay, so we have this room. You can also use ambient occlusion pass if you want more depth in your scene. Here on this part you can render ambient occlusion pass also. And let's see some other adjustments. What I'm doing, I'm taking an adjustment layer on the top, like say levels, or I can take curves. Adjustment layer is curves. Increase the whole. Okay, so looking good. Okay, so we have this scene. Hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial very much. We will meet in the next tutorial. Till then, goodbye, take care.